thank everyone at Parliament House for coming, and for Parliament House to allow us to have this function every year. It's always well patronised, and we thank you for that. We're also very thankful that our issue of prostate cancer is a bipartisan issue here in Parliament. We do have a Prostate Cancer Friends of Parliament Association. We'd like to thank Warren Entsch and Jason Clare for their involvement. That bipartisan support gives us a lot of benefits, one of which is recently we've got 14 more support nurses around Australia.
Well, thank you very much, Steve, and I want to congratulate the co-chairs of Parliamentary Friends of Prostate Cancer, Warren Entsch and Jason Clare. And I know this is very bipartisan. Bill Shorten will be here shortly, I gather. I want to acknowledge Associate Professor Anthony Lowe, the CEO of the Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia, Jim Hughes, the National Chairman, who's not here, but as Steve was saying, but thank him for his work in his absence. And of course Jim Lloyd, our old friend and colleague, as Ambassador for the Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia. Now, as Warren Entsch, of course, is not known for being shy, and he encourages all of the men here and around Australia to stop being shy about asking the doctor for a checkup. Don't sort of run away in fear when you hear the snap of the rubber glove. This is the time to recognise that there are 16,000 new cases of prostate cancer diagnosed every year, and sadly 3,000 men die from it each year. Now, we can improve those statistics, which means more men will survive prostate cancer if more men get a checkup. We recognise the fantastic work the prostate cancer nurses do and the care and support they provide both to patients and families, and so we are, as Steve acknowledged, extending the funding for the 14 prostate cancer nurses we already fund, 5.9 million over 3 years, and we're doubling the funding over the next 3 years to increase the number of Commonwealth funded nurses to 28. So they will be able to assist up to 8,000 men with prostate cancer over the next 3 years. So I want to encourage everybody, particularly the men, to not to be frightened. You know, the doctor won't hurt you. I promise. He won't hurt you, and he might save your life. So fire up the Barbie on this cold day, and remember, awareness, taking care of yourself, making sure you get that checkup, that could save your life. Thanks very much and have a great day.
When 54 people a day are diagnosed with this challenging cancer, it really behoves men to just simply have a test. And it's a funny thing about men, they tend to act as if they're bulletproof. But when 3,000 of our fellow Australian men die each year, the numbers are too high, and I just think of all the families. And if the men don't want to necessarily do it for themselves because they're too busy or think it can't happen to them, just think about your families. Your families don't want you gone any sooner than you have to be, so I encourage everyone to have the test as I do, and indeed all Australian men should over 40. And now I've hit the big 5-0, apparently it's almost mandatory for me to do this test.
And can I just say to you, from a regional member, and we've got so many of my colleagues here, it's great to see you all here right across the whole political spectrum. It is very, very important that we get involved in things like raise the awareness of this. And the reality is, if it's a once a year, it was said earlier today that you're going to have the car checked up at least once a year. Same thing, go and get a checkup once a year. It's not difficult to do, and it's very treatable, and the survival rate, if you get it early, is brilliant. But if you live in a regional area and you tend to ignore it, you've got a 21% higher chance of actually dying. And as I said earlier, about 3,000 deaths a year, it's about 9 a day, and one of the biggest cancer killers in men, and it's something that we need to be aware of. And so for those ladies out here, for your husbands or your partners, push them along. If they're over 50, and I'm almost there, you do it every year. If you're over 40 and you have that, and you actually have a history in your family, start at 40. and it's very, very important. It will save your life.